All right, guys, welcome to part three of expanding expressions. The first example we have here is shown as 3/4 parentheses 4h minus 6 close parentheses. So, as always, we're going to start off by using the distributive property to multiply the 3/4 to everything, to every term inside of the parentheses. So, what we're going to have is 3/4 times, the first one is 4h, so we're going to have 3/4 times 4h. And then what I like to do is put plus, so we're adding. And then 3/4 times -6. So 3/4 times -6. All right, now we could go ahead and multiply. So when we multiply this left side, of course, we can use the calculator. But we can also not use the calculator. That's the way that I'm going to show you real quick. So when we multiply a fraction and a whole number, we're going to put that whole number as a ratio or as a fraction, and we can rewrite it as 4h over 1. So what we're really doing is multiplying the coefficient and the number on the left. And now we can multiply across and multiply their numerator and denominator respectively. So what we have here is 3 times 4. So we're going to have 12h, and 4 times 1, which is just going to be over 4. Whoops, sorry. Over 4. All right, so right before we simplify it, let's do the right side of the plus sign, or the right side of the addition sign. We're going to have, so instead of -6, we're going to have -6 over 1. Now we can multiply across. So 3 times -6 is going to be -18. And 4 times 1 is just 4. And now we see again, and this kind of looks like a y, so we'll change this 4 over here. So again, we see a plus and a negative, and that is just a positive times a negative, which gives us a negative. So we have 12h over 4, whoops, minus, I should say, just literally said that. So we have 18 over 4. And now we could simplify, and 12 divided by 4 is just going to be 3h minus, simplify the fraction on the right, and that is simplified to 9 over 2 for example number 1. All right, so here for the second example, same thing. Do we have any like terms? And no, we don't. So this is how I write my b, and this is a 6. So they're not like terms. One's a variable, one is not. One's a b, one's a 6. I get my students always asking, "What is that? Is that a 6 or a b, or what is that?" I'm like, "It's a b. It's just how you write a b in cursive." But anyways, there are no like terms, so we cannot just combine like terms inside the parentheses. What we can do is use the distributive property to multiply the 4 to every term inside the parentheses. So we have first 4 times 1/4. Oh, we should say 1/4 a. And then we have 4 times b. And then we have 4 times -6. All right, so those are the three. We can kind of see a little pattern here. When we have 3 different terms inside, we know that this 4 is going to be multiplied 3 times, depending on how many terms we have inside the parentheses. So we know we're kind of good here. Okay, so now what we have to do is multiply the first term here. We have 4 times 1/4 a. And of course, you can put the 4 over 1, then multiply across. We get 4 over 4, which is just going to give us 1a, or just a, plus 4 times b, which is 4b. And then we have 4 times -6. So of course, we have a positive 4 and a -6. So that is actually going to give us -24. So we'll write that down. And now we can see that we can rewrite the a plus 4b. When a positive number multiplies by a negative, we're going to get -24 here. So this is our final answer for problem number 2. And here we have our third problem. What we can do here is, of course, there's no real math going on. We're just multiplying a variable. So the first thing that the variable z will be multiplied is by -6.4. So what that looks like is just z times -6.4. And then we do z times -3.5. And what that looks like is plus z times negative 3.5x, I should say. And now z times negative 6.4 is just negative 6.4z. We're always going to write the number first, it becomes the coefficient. And over here on the right side of the addition sign, we're going to have z times negative 3.5x, which is just going to be negative 3.5xz. And again, like most of the problems we've been doing, we see a positive and negative. That's going to turn into a negative. So we have negative 6.4z minus 3.5xz. And this is the final answer for the third problem here. And the easiest one, we should say, I made it easy for you guys here for the fourth problem. We have 3 times 7x first. So we're using the distributive property right off the bat. So 3 times 7x is going to be, see how we write that? That is 3 times 7x. And then plus 3 times 5. We're just distributing the 3 to each of the terms inside. Then we have 3 times 7x, which is just 21x. And then 3 times 5, which is 15. And this is our final answer.